So the fact that all of a sudden these unisex bathrooms are a problem, y'all, they've been there for a very, very long time. This is not a new thing. So I just think it's really important for us to, just to be aware at the very least of what is going on, and that our rosy little world sometimes that we sometimes find ourselves just living in without the thought of anything else or anybody else, is not necessarily reality for other people. So what does that have to do with coaching? Well, coaching is related to all of it. So there's a way to connect it all. And in fact, there is an area of coaching that deals with cultural competency in leadership. And so there are, and as we know, we look at what's happening or what has happened over the years with law enforcement, in the NFL, in the NBA. We see in media, in politics especially, we see many cases in which leaders are struggling with cultural competency. They don't have the cultural competency needed to work with people from various backgrounds that are, outside of their own comfort zones. And so it's really important for us to understand, what it means to be culturally competent and actually be able to execute that. There's you'd be surprised, and especially now, you might not be surprised at some of the conversations that happen behind closed doors, conversations that I've been a part of, that I have tried to, speak up against, microaggressions that happen in the workplace. Microaggressions, for those of you who don't know, are those little subtle statements, subtle behaviors, subtle acts that happen that are meant to undermine somebody based on who they are, based on how they identify, whether it's because they're a woman or because they're a man or because they're a certain age, or, they're too old or they're too young, but for whatever reason they don't fit in with the larger group, and so they are ostracized with microaggressive acts. So there is a form of coaching that actually helps people get better in those areas. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some research.
In the interest of science.
Okay, so today's theory is called expectancy theory. And I like this one because it is about problem solving. It is about what do I expect in terms of being able to get past this issue, to solve this problem, to deal with this, situation. And it sounds like common sense, but what it does is it also breaks it down into a method and a way of thinking that can help us, better get to that, to that place of a solution. So expectancy theory, which was actually developed by Victor Vroom of the Yale School of Medicine. There are three considerations that one must have in order to solve a problem. So one is valence, next is instrumentality, and next is expectancy. So valence means, what can this situation do for me? So what is it that I can get out of this? What is, if I go ahead and pursue, this is, particularly if you're trying to make a decision about a business opportunity. What is it, what happens if I pursue this job? If I pursue this job, are there benefits in there for me? Is there something that I can get out of it? Maybe that is, maybe it's just financial stability. Maybe it's that it'll allow me to travel. Maybe it's that, it'll allow me to connect with new people. And then the next one is instrumentality and expectancy. And so I'm going to talk to you about what those two are when we come back. And we're going to look at how that stuff actually applies to our actual life. So stay with me. I'll be right back on the Live Exchange.
We do. Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
I am an American soldier. I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always let you finish first.
I I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
Enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
If you're looking for that ratchet, you're in the wrong place. It's the nation's urban internet station, Sensation Station Network.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I'm talking about coaching and all of that wonderful stuff. But I am also talking right now about expectancy theory, and this is sort of spilling over from our research that we were talking about before the break. So the research theory that I'm talking about today or right now is expectancy theory, and this is a theory that we can apply to our lives when we have to make a decision, when there's a pressing decision to be made. Do I want to get married? Do I want to take this job? Do I don't know, do I want to take this trip? All of those kinds of questions that we have, the big questions. Do I want to have a child? Do I want to adopt a child? All of those things. These are the kinds of decisions that you can use expectancy theory as a method for solving those or for addressing those. So there's 3 considerations in addressing these kinds of questions. And again, I'll just review them: valence, instrumentality, and expectancy. So valence, again, is that question of whether or not the situation is going to benefit you. What can this situation do for me? So as you consider, let's just take marriage as an example. As you consider getting married, what is getting married going to do for me? Is it going to offer partnership? Is it going to offer financial stability? Is it going to offer affection and love and friendship, those things that I need and that I want? Or will it offer hardship or stress? Or, is the person that I'm considering marrying somebody who is unstable? What are the negative things that it'll bring to me? So that's one consideration in making a decision. The second one is instrumentality. And that is asking basically, what is the reasonable path to getting the benefits of this opportunity? So if I've decided, marriage seems like there'll be some benefits, that are attached to it, what's the path to getting there? What do I need to do in order to make sure that I actually do reap these benefits? So of course, maybe moving forward with the marriage is part of it, but what needs to happen on the way to marriage and what needs to happen in the context of marriage and in the midst of marriage in order to be able to benefit from marriage, right? So that's instrumentality. What are the practical things I need to do to get those benefits out of this situation? And then number 3 is expectancy. And the question that's asked with expectancy is basically, what evidence do I have that I'm capable of doing what's required to get these benefits? So It's asking about, what do you expect? What do you see in yourself in terms of being able to reap these benefits? So, can I contribute to a marriage? Have I healed from past relationships to the point where I can actually maintain a healthy relationship within marriage? Do I have problem solving skills? Can I live with somebody? So those are all things that are related to what you expect in terms of your own ability to be successful or to reap the benefits of whatever it is. So this is an example. So expectancy theory has been used in psychology, education, a lot of different fields. But if you think about the role that a life coach might take, or a relationship coach might take, or a career coach might take in taking this particular theory and applying it to the work that they do with their clients. So the example I just gave could be a relationship coach saying, okay, so you want to get married. Let's think about it from a practical, theoretical standpoint, and then let's try to plug in what you can do practically in order to make these things happen and in order to make these things come about. So that's expectancy theory, and I like it a lot because it, again, for those of us who like theory as a backdrop to some of the reasons why we do what we do, that gives us a really strong method that we can use in our decision making. So I'd love to know what kind of method you use when you are trying to solve a problem, make a decision. A lot of times we ask all our friends. We may write it out. We may pray about it. There's a lot of things that we do. What is it that you do? And you can go ahead and post that, or, of course, you can give us a call, 678-613-5857. When we come back, we're going to look at the different myths that people have about the coaching profession, and we're going to try to see if we can debunk some of those myths. So stay with us, and we'll be right back on the Live Exchange.
Calendars knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch, or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's. It's time to say
JBT, 700 Miami Circle, 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and today we are talking about the profession of coaching. And a lot of us don't necessarily know what it all means and whether or not it's real, and who are all these people slapping coach on their business cards and telling me they can help me maximize my life and empower me, and all those buzzwords that we hear, right? Ignite the fire and all these things that we hear, right? Is this even real? Do people really do this? Is this something that is legit? Yes, it is a legitimate career. The thing is, it's important to find out who's legitimately practicing the career, right? So there's a lot of people who like to call themselves coaches of all different sorts, but don't go through the training. And in all fairness, in the past, there was not necessarily any formalized training. There was not any formalized process for becoming a coach. But I'm here to tell you all that there is now, and there has been for a couple decades now, but it's still in terms of career age, it's still a young career, and so I understand that a lot of people don't necessarily understand it, but that's what I'm here for, because I want to make sure that you all understand exactly what it is, and if you're seeking a coach, that you seek wisely, that you do your homework, and that you make sure that you find somebody who really knows what it is they're doing. Now, CBS News a couple of years ago put out a list of 10 professional life coaching myths, and I want to talk about those because I think it's really important to kind of clarify the myths, but and I'll just read what they have here. First they said, what is a professional coach? And just to define that, I'm going to define it in terms of how the International Coach Federation defines it. But it means partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. So it really is side by side with somebody who has a particular goal that they want to achieve, and that coach walks with them through the process of accomplishing that goal. So it entails accountability, it entails goal setting, it entails self-revelation. So there may be things about yourself that you don't see that your coach may be able to bring out of you, and that's a really popular method. A really popular method for doing that is mirroring, and so you are showing the person what you see in them that they may not see in themselves, which is a very powerful approach. So in a study, a 2009 study of the professional coaching industry by the Chartered Institute of Professional Development, they found that coaching was used by 90% of the organizations surveyed, and that even in the economic downturn, 70% reported that they are increasing or maintaining their commitment to coaching. So that is a lot of professional organizations that are using coaching. That's 90%. 90%. So just that alone kind of gives you an idea of how promising this kind of career is, and how and why it is that so many people are jumping into it. So I'm going to give you the first myth in a second, but before that, I'm going to give you the balance challenge.
Keeping your balance with Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela.
Okay, so this week's balance challenge is I want you to do a little self-reflection and just kind of, a lot of times we don't think about our position and where we are in a really thoughtful and meaningful way. And so in light of the goal-setting theory that the problem-solving theory, which is expectancy theory, that I just gave you all earlier, I want you to think about a major decision that you have to make in your life. And I want you to sort of reflect on your position and where you are in your life and how that's going to impact the decision that you need to make. So again, I'm going to go through, it's looking at, I'm not on the page anymore, but looking at the process for determining whether or not that is a decision that you should take or not take, or an opportunity you should take or not take. I want you to go through the process of thinking about, okay, what are the benefits of this situation that I should jump into or not jump into? Can I access those benefits? And what is it about me? What do I bring to the table that can actually make that happen? So I want you to think about that. I want you to do a little bit of self-reflecting. This is kind of a coaching exercise. But I want you to think strategically about a decision that you have to make this week under the lens of what are the benefits? Are these benefits that I can actually reap? And what is it that I have to offer that's going to make sure that I do what I need to do to reap those benefits? That is your balance challenge. I'll be right back.
Sensation Station Network. Radio 2, Atlanta.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch, or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to say.
Uncle Dan? Mom? Dad? If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them, I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
Safer when my friends come over.
As your neighbor, I'll feel safer.
As a school teacher, I'll feel safer.
We'll all feel safer.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place mission first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior task and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
All right, welcome back to the live exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and my guest has arrived. I have Coach Cynthia Heller here, and she's joining me to help with this conversation about what it is to be a life coach. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh, thanks, Dr. Pam. the what I am at the moment is I really am happy to be here. Thank you.
That's awesome.
I have been a professional coach for the last 3 years since we came through the academy.
She's a graduate of the Academy of Creative Coaching.
Yeah, I'm an ACC graduate. I think probably one of the
second cohort. I think.
Yes, and our cohort group has stuck together just wonderfully.
I love it.
It was a blessing to go through the program and learn the rudiments and the techniques to be able to develop my coaching skills and my coaching business, as well as to make some wonderful friendships.
Yeah, I love it.
So what I took that and combined it with a background that I've been developing professionally for quite a few years in combining work with Toastmasters group in developing speaking skills and communication techniques.
Okay.
And also as a college admissions officer, assisting students and their parents as they matriculate from the close of high school and through the beginning parts of their college career.
Okay.
And as well as their financial services, which is a lot of people who have touch points with this know it can be a morass of new information and deadlines.
I know a little something about that.
Yes. And so coaching, as I saw it, coaching was something that transpired through these activities. And I really wanted to bring it to that spearhead and learn the particular techniques, which is what the Academy brought to me.
That's wonderful.
I followed up with getting a certification as a professional project manager, which gave me entree into corporations where I could work with different teams that were made up of locations as well as different skill sets and help them to coalesce and develop something that we put into the marketplace. And it had real tangible financial value for their companies as well as professional value for the teams that I led. And I saw a next step waving to me on the horizon, which was to take entree into being a professional trainer.
Okay.
So I combine now working with a Swiss training company, which is Gustav Kaiser International, where I spend over the course of about a 4-month, 5-month period time training in a classroom setting with particular curriculum as well as coaching in between the time one-on-one.
Okay, and we're going to talk about the difference, and that's one of the things, there's a lot of misunderstanding about the difference between coaching, training, consulting, and therapy. There's a lot of people get all of those things mixed up and even use them interchangeably, and while many in the workplace need full therapy sessions as a team, a lot of times what they bring in is a trainer to deal with, actually skill development and that kind of thing. And so we're going to talk about that. And I see somebody's asking about the call-in number. The call-in number is 678-613-5857. Write that down, 678-613-5857. And so Cynthia is going to talk to or help us break down some of these myths about life coaching. And I'm literally just throwing them at her. We're going to see how well she is on a whim with these with these different myths. But the first one is life coaches are professionals who can help you achieve your goals. The reason why that's a myth. Now, it's true now that life coaches are professionals that can help you achieve your goal. The caveat there is that some of them are able to help you achieve your goals. There are others who did not receive the appropriate training, who are just, like I said, they've just kind of slapped their name on a business card and said that they're a coach, but really have no idea what it means to actually be a coach and what the skills are that come along with being a coach. And so yes, when trained well and when trained properly, yes, indeed, life coaches are professionals that can help you achieve your goals. And I'm curious, Cynthia, if you've encountered anybody who had a negative experience with a coach prior to coming to you and you kind of had to clarify what a coach actually does. Has that ever been a thing?
Not so much a negative experience as a frustration that they felt perhaps they had wasted some time that could have been valuable in progressing ahead. And that's often attributable to one of the coaching tenets that we are trained and that we practice in is how to help the journey get onto a bit of a progressive timeline.
Right.
So that when we come together and we have our meeting times, it's intended to review what went on in the past and the progress, and then set a goal for the next step. So oftentimes the client will be overwhelmed with, well, which way should I go? And there's so much to do. That's where the coach steps in, and we say, no, we take the journey together. We'll break it into manageable steps. And that's the comment that I've heard, that if my clients feel that it makes it attainable, and along the way they know they're getting reinforcement, that they're getting some traction.
Right, because there's a lot of us who struggle with discipline in some areas and do really well in other areas, So, so for me, for example, I may need a little bit of a push in the networking field. Like, I really could use a networking coach because I hate networking. So I could use some coaching there. But when it comes to creating things and writing and developing new initiatives, piece of cake, no problem. I really don't need a push there, or I don't need the what do you call it, the accountability or the maintenance needed to make sure that I keep moving forward. I'm going to do that on my own. But there's areas that many of us, we do need that push. Is that something that you've seen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some people are not, some people are pretty aware. And like you just said, I know I need it, so I'm going to help somebody kind of kick it into gear. And other times people are just not aware, but they have kind of a felt sense of something being murky or lurking around untapped. And they want help being able to bring that to the forefront.
Right. Yeah. And what about you personally? Are there areas where you're like, I definitely need a coach in this area, but I'm really strong over here?
Oh, absolutely. I find when things get flying really fast for me in life, and I have a lot of different, as we say in project management, a lot of work streams that are in simultaneous progress.
Oh, I love the technical terms.
Some things will progress faster than others, so I get a little bogged down with the frustration because I like to feel like there's a sense of urgency, and if it's not urgent, it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
And other times the plodding along piece of it, I like to have somebody remind me the reason that we're maybe in a slower gear is a good and acceptable reason, and that's what nature's calling for, and it's time to let things unfold.
Just flow, breathe.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think that, for me, it's, I can appreciate the ups and downs, the ebbs and the flows of things that are moving fast, moving slow. The problem is I tend to do, like what you said, is focus on those high urgency things that need to be done, right away. And then when those things that are not up yet come up, that's when I get like, oh, okay, now it's time to get to get frantic, So.
And that's just where I've heard people, very recently one of my clients said, we often focus on what's right in front of us. And what we miss are the things that we can be bringing along, the less conscious, the less screaming things that are really the seedlings for the future.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. Well, we're going to get into Love Notes.
Love Notes with Dr. Pamela.
All right. So today's love note comes from a woman who is she's worked with a coach before, and she had, and this is part of the reason why I asked this question, she had a frustrating experience. And that is because she felt like the coach didn't necessarily have the skill set in order to move her forward, to instruct her on, what it is that she was going to do, and also to hold her accountable. So she kind of felt like she was just paying money to a bunch of fluff. And I hate to hear that, because I want people to see the benefits and to see the great things about being a coach, as opposed to, just feeling like they wasted their money. So her question was basically, what is the best way to go about actually making sure that a coach is legitimate and that she's not going to waste her time? Is there something that she can do with regards to a trial period, or does she have to just risk her money again? So I could take a stab at it. Do you have anything you'd like to say before I jump in? I could jump in.
I would offer up two things. One is there is a certification process that professional coaches have to go through, and it also requires continuous education. So asking that simple question, or if someone's offering a website, see if they have it's called the International Coaching Federation. See if they have the credentials, how long they've been in business. Often great coaches will be able to share some testimonials to give someone an idea of their coaching in the right kind of topic area to suit the person's particular interest. And basic questions in a get acquainted time, I will often either speak to groups and give a taste test of the way the coaching process works with me and how we would work together, or just a couple of short meetings to let someone know what it is they would be getting into and how kind of how fast to be able to judge the process. Sometimes it's not linear, so you can't, there are no absolutes, there's no formula that we follow, but you can often, particularly if you've talked to two different people or you listen to your own inner voice, you'll know if that person is coming from a place of having an education and techniques and the right kind of heart space to work with you.
Or just having their own philosophy on life that they that they want to just impart to you. Yeah, you know, and I agree with that. I think that first of all, it is very important. That was one of the things I was going to say is to make sure that they've been legitimately trained, and there's a accrediting body that can help you figure that out. But I think it's also important to have a really in-depth conversation with the coach to find out how much they can even educate you about the coaching process. If they're able to talk to you about what a coach can offer in general, and what, you know, a lot of people have their own processes, even though it's not a cookie cutter thing that will work for absolutely everybody. A lot of times they do have their own philosophy and their own approach to coaching. So some people who, you know, may do assessments and tests and that kind of thing to get a sense of your personality and who you are first. Others may have you do some live experience. So if you're a relationship coach, they may have you go on some dates and come back and tell you what those dates were like, you know. And so it really depends on, you know, your style, and you want to make sure that that style of the coach is compatible with what your needs are, you know, as a client. One of the things that we do as coaches, I think that is really important, or that we should do, is educate people about what it means to be a coach, because a lot of times they come to us with expectations that we're going to give advice, and we want to just be told what to do, and that's not what a coach does. So.
That's why as I coin it, it's a journey we start together.
Yeah.
And I want to let them have that expectation, as you said, right up front. They're doing the work. We're providing some of the game rules and some of the insights that will help to share. It's really the person's responsibility as a client, and it's their opportunity to follow up, to push along the discovery process. We're here as a backboard.
Yeah, and you know, I like to equate it to, I love the analogy of it being like an athletic coach. You know, they're on the sidelines, they're rooting you on. You know, you're in the game, so you have to make the decision about if you're going to make that pass or if you're going to shoot the ball. We talked about a strategy before the game, so it's your job to execute that strategy, and you're in the game, so you have to make a decision based on what's going on in the moment. So you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. After the end of the game, you go back to your coach, you guys strategize again, you get back out there for the next game. So that's how I like to look at it. So we're going to go ahead and go on to myth number 2. Myth number 2, let's see. It's not just popping up easily for me here. Myth number 2, executive coaching is a nice employment perk. And the reality is that coaching is as much as a perk to your employees as our computers. And so employees may view coaching as an added benefit, but the successful organizations see coaching as something much more than a perk, like computers. It's not just a perk, it's something you need. So done right, professional coaching can drive sales, employment engagement, creativity. You know, wellness programs have really been shown to provide about a 300% return on investment when you have, and I can see that. You know, if you have, and this is talking wellness programs in general, with coaching being one of those offered services. But when, you know, it's almost like that saying, happy wife, happy life. Well, you know, happy employee or happy, you know, team and happy company. You know, so I think it's really important to be able to offer that. Have you seen that, where that's something that's been offered as a part of the organizational structure?
I have, and I can attest to, you're absolutely right, when it's in place, people as a group, will engage with a more open and energetic attitude.
Right.
And sometimes coaches will work one-on-one with a topic-driven initiative, and they may work with different departments within a corporation or on that topic with different layers within the leadership or the delivery structure of the company. And when that happens, what we get to do is take the same message to multiple audiences. So the company, let's say at the end of a week cycle, everybody has the same message. They've heard it in a way that works for them and the way they need to hear it, because we do some upfront identification as to what's the best delivery mode. And the beauty of it is we could say, so everybody come together, give me five options on how you'd tackle this situation or how you would change this problem. And answers come from that. So the company benefits as well as the people. Everyone comes out ahead.
And who doesn't like to give their opinion?
Yes.
I love it. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us on the Live Exchange.
Station Network.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and we are at the top of the second hour. So we are talking about coaching and the profession of coaching, and we're debunking myths, and we're clarifying what it means. If you want to call, if you've got a situation you'd like some quick coaching on, we can take a stab at it. Our number is 678-613-5857. I'm joined by Cynthia Heller, who is also a coach, and she focuses on a couple of different areas. I'm thinking, can we call it executive coaching? I know educational coaching is one of them. Is that kind of...
Yes, executive. I would re-encapsulate it into professional coaching, professional
okay.
development, because
it.
sometimes we have up-and-coming executives, and sometimes we have folks who are going through job transition, which could often be a lateral move, but through a different industry.
And you're starting all over in many ways.
Yes,
so.
I think a lot of people are faced with that, maybe not just once, but twice in a career.
Wow, yeah. So, and it's not like things used to be where people were in a career for 40-something years and then they retired from that career. And, now we're moving around a lot more. And as you get more and more millennials, you're going to, I'm curious, have you really worked with millennials much in what you're doing?
I have, and I find some of the stereotypes are they're an amusing entree into getting to observe millennials, and yet some of it's not really earned. They as a group, they just they want to be approached maybe with some different tools. They're interested more in an app. For instance, than showing up at a particular classroom setting, and that's okay, because I find the message can be melded to what's needed.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I was resistant to that whole let's replace personal engagement with an app or with technology until I started teaching this class that I'm currently teaching at the university now, and it was a hybrid class, and I went into it kicking and screaming. But then when I learned the portal that's being used to teach the class, I absolutely love it. I'm just like, wow, okay. Then, and I have the app on my phone, and I'll I can send them a live message and just go live and say, hey, this is your professor. And and it's just, I really love it. And so they've kind of got me sold on that.
It's good. It mixes it up for you too.
Yes.
Keeps it lively.
Yes.
I was going to say it's a slightly different segue into it, but the other contact I have with millennials is through a different component of my coaching, which is bereavement coaching.
Oh, wow.
So I listened to what was going on around me and noticed that many of my peers were becoming single parents due to loss of a spouse, either divorce or through death, and they had teenage kids.
Wow.
So they may not have been, the surviving partner may not have been the one who had that close communication with their kids, so they suddenly had to try and figure out how to bridge that loss.
That's so interesting.
And they came to me as a coach and said, I don't even know what to do. I don't know where to start. I'm all engulfed in this grief, which is its own process and its own path. And I see my kids going through this, and they're finishing high school, going off to college, kind of in that 16 to 20 year set. And this started to happen repeatedly. And as I was in the workplace and people knew I had been working in this area, they started to come to me and say, hey, this just happened to another family. This is a coworker.
Wow.
I don't know how to address it at work. I feel ill-equipped.
Yeah.
So what do I do in the workplace to help our work move along? And that became a new blending moment where I was able to take working with the millennials or that energy that someone would normally have in their late teen years and helping them to construct a path forward so that they could deal with this whole wide world of what was going on. Oh my goodness, I've lost a parent, I have college, I'm looking at a career. Yikes.
Wow.
How do I do that?
That's pretty huge. I would love to know more about that when we come back. Specifically how you found yourself stumbling upon even the first client. How that even happened. But that's just something we don't think about. But it's such a huge, devastating milestone in people's lives for so many reasons. So we're going to talk about that when we get back on the Live Exchange.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Primary election.
Lack of diversity.
Gas prices.
Michael Jackson. Trending topics.
Okay, so welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I'm bringing back the same trending topic because I didn't get to say everything I wanted to say about it, and I have a guest here, and she may or may not have something to say, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. But so what's trending is that Trump just withdrew today. I think it just happened today. Federal protections for transgender students, and this issue became an issue primarily. The reason why it's students, it became an issue primarily on college campuses. There are a lot of college campuses that are moving to having gender neutral restrooms. I'm part of an association called the American College Personnel Association for people who work on college campuses, and the whole entire conference has gender neutral restrooms situated in various parts of the place. So it was the first time I had encountered that going to one of their conferences, and it was just very interesting. You've got a man in the stall next to you, you got yourself, you both walk out, you wash your hands together, and they also had gender specific restrooms, so people had a choice. I personally like that that setup because it seems like it serves everyone. With a gender neutral restroom, in my view, it's not necessarily just for transgender people, but it's also for people who have to assist somebody else of a different gender in the restroom. So if there's a mom taking care of her or a woman taking care of her father, and she needs to assist him in the restroom, she's able to do that. And so why this became so negatively focused on transgender students kind of baffles me, because gender neutral and unisex restrooms have been there forever. So why is it an issue now? I'm going to stop talking and we'll let Cindy, do you have anything to add to this?
I just think, on the one hand, I love that people are talking and thinking about, what's the implication of this. It
Right.
gets folks communicating.
Because we need to talk about it.
We do, and explore, why is it such, what are the taboos around that? Why does it matter? And yet, like you said, if it comes down to someone being able to assist another person, we really want to encourage that, because from time to time, we all may need assistance, and as much as you can make that work better for people, I think is functionally a wise way to go.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I have to balance against folks I know who've gone, they've never bucked the flow, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they would be very uncomfortable. So
Right.
So how long do they wait to find a gender specific restroom for
Where
themselves?
they're comfortable. And I get it. There's been some arguments about, well, as a woman, I've been sexually assaulted. I don't want to attend a restroom or go to a restroom with a man. And so I get that totally. So that's why I try to be sensitive to both sides. But I just know that the attacks that have happened against transgender people using restrooms have actually been climbing. It's a real problem, and I know that there's a real fear. I can't imagine what it must be like to have that fear of going to the bathroom every time and looking around and seeing, oh my God, who's looking at me? I just gotta pee. I don't even know what that's like, and so I try to approach it from that standpoint. But I also can't ignore the other part of this, that it's not just about being transgender, that it's also about, my husband, my ex-husband and I are, co-parenting. When he has my daughter over the weekend, what do they do about the bathroom? And she's terrified, and it's partly my fault, of going in the bathrooms by herself, because we've seen news reports of little girls being attacked in bathrooms, little boys, heck, being attacked in bathrooms in general. And that's with the absence of gender neutral restrooms existing. So this kind of stuff, so that's why when somebody argues that somebody may get attacked because of the gender neutral restrooms, no, those already happen. That already happens. So that's a whole other issue. But I do wonder, with my daughter and when she's with her dad, how do they handle the whole bathroom thing? And I know that he appreciates it when there's a family restroom, somewhere available. So who would have thought restrooms would be so controversial? But they are, and that's one of the reasons why, if I can do a shameless plug for the Academy of Creative Coaching, why we have a cultural competency coaching as a category, or as a specialization, and then one of the reasons why I thought that was important to include is because there are so many ways in which we get caught up in our own ways of thinking and our own journeys, our own stories, that we forget that other people are terrorized by things that we don't even think twice about. This applies to a lot of different types of situations, people of various backgrounds. And so I think it's really important for us to be able to think from a different mindset every now and then. I feel like I'm just talking. But before the break, Cynthia was telling us about how she got into bereavement coaching, which I think is really interesting because we think about, oh, the child lost their parent, but we don't think about the parent who now has to balance that new relationship that they have to establish with this child, especially if they weren't the parent that's like you said, that usually interacts with the child.
The go-to parent.
The go-to parent,
Yeah.
right.
I'll tell you that this started way back at the 9/11 time.
Wow.
I live and work in the New York area, and that particular fateful day, I dropped off my kindergartner at school because he was a normally calm kid, threw a fit the day before and said, "Mom, please, I want you to drop me off at kindergarten." And I looked at him and thought, okay, you and I are going to be together a lot longer than I'm going to be working at this wonderful, beautiful new job I'm starting tomorrow. So, oh my goodness, how am I going to tell my new boss I need a day off? And actually what happened was when I said, I need to take tomorrow off, he said, family comes first, or I wouldn't have hired you. So I knew we were in sync, who knew what was coming, and dropped him off at kindergarten, and then everything fell apart. And I had to call all the families and make sure that the parents were coming home that night.
Oh,
So
everything fell apart with the 9/11.
with the 9/11.
I thought you meant
Yes,
the kid
no,
fell
with the,
apart.
no,
Okay, got
no,
it,
with
got
the
it.
9/11.
Got it.
Sorry.
Oh, wow.
So it was a real hit home kind of moment for us.
Wow.
And I knew, so because of that, I got involved with a group that was providing grief counseling for young children who lost a parent from that and other things. And I got to know the parents, and in knowing the surviving parents, I saw there was also a need there that they had to have somewhere to turn. And the coaching part of this grew out of necessity and practicality, managing through those early times with them.
Wow, that's wow. And once again, we have to go to break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And lead the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch, or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to savor.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first. And that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I have Cynthia here with me, and I also have a guest caller on the line. Who's with us?
Yes, peace and blessings. This is Mr. Fraser calling. How you doing today?
This is good. Who is this? I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Waba Fraser.
Hi, Waba Fraser. Thanks for calling. You have a question?
Yes, ma'am. First, let me say, great show. Great show. Great information. I didn't know too much with all life coaches, in college and what all they did. So, definitely been enlightened.
Good.
And it's something that I think I can use, me and my wife. So my question is, could I find a life coach that can help us out with finances and help us, pretty much get motivated, because we have great ideas and sometimes we don't get them off the ground. And I'm guilty of that too. We're all over the place with different ideas, but just don't quite have that motivation to get them out the starting gate.
Oh, wow.
So
you hit it right on the head. That's exactly what a coach would do.
Yeah. So would I need two different life coaches, or could I find one that could help us out with that and help tighten up our relationship at the same time?
Ooh, that's a good question. Do you want to jump on that, Cynthia, or you want me to?
You go ahead, because I'm trying to think of a specific person. It's possible.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah, it's definitely possible to get one person who can, and that's where the categories, can get really specific or be very general. So life coach can kind of cover those different areas of your life and bring them all together. If you really just wanted to focus on finance, you can get a financial coach, or you can get a relationship coach. But if you choose a life coach, I think it's really important to make sure that that life coach has expertise in both finances and relationships, and that they're not just a generalist. If you have some specific things that you really are looking to get help with.
Okay, that sounds great. Kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
What about you? You sound pretty good. Are you available to take on this task?
Well, I'm pretty good at the relationship thing. And then the guy who's coming on after me, Dean Cole, he has a show called Money Making Motivation. He would be an excellent financial coach. So in this case, it would be great to get two different people. Okay. I would mess up your finances. You don't want me to deal with your finances.
I appreciate your honesty,
I'll put you in the poorhouse.
Well, I will be getting your information. I will be getting your information and looking out for the other experts. So thank you, and thank you, Doc. Great job, great show.
No problem. And I would encourage you to go to academyofcreativecoaching.com. Academyofcreativecoaching.com has a list of all of our coaches who are, taking clients and all of that. So check them out.
Very good.
All
Very
right.
good. Thank you.
Dr. Pam, if I can, with one specific.
Yeah, okay, just a few seconds. Go ahead.
On the ACC list, there's a gentleman named Tom Martin
that
I think might be a great resource, because I know he's working on the love IQ and the finance side, maybe something else he'd get into.
Oh,
so that's one name you could look for on the ACC
Tom
site.
Martin would be a great resource. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Fraser. All right, so we are going to get into the research.
In the interest of science.
All right, I love my science. So what I want to talk to you all about is, and this is very much applicable to coaching, but it's what we call approval syndrome. I don't know how many of you have heard of it. If you've heard of it, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't heard of it, give me a curious face. I don't even know if that exists on the thing, but but approval syndrome is that need to get other people's approval before moving forward with a decision. And so earlier in the show, we talked about the decision-making process. And I don't know if you noticed, but approval from others was not a part of any of the process of making decisions. Sometimes we have to have enough confidence and faith in our own ability to make decisions to move forward. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't consult with other people, that you can't get feedback and get ideas from others. But what approval syndrome is having a need or really being frozen in moving forward with something without the approval of other people, with wanting to make sure that every single thing that you do, so even if this is not looking at a decision that you're making, but everything that you do has to be loved and has to be adored and has to sort of get the high fives from everybody in your world. And I know from personal experience that every decision that I've made, every great decision that I've made has not won the approval of the masses. Have you experienced that?
Gosh, you're bringing to mind exactly a coaching scenario that I just went through. It's the time of year to be making college choices, and one of my clients, who is the student, came to me with their very logical, reasonable, drilled down list, what choice they want to make. They said, but this isn't where my parents have, this isn't where their head is.
That's a big one.
How do we do this? And it was surprising because they came along together initially in the first coaching session, so they were all exposed to each other's ideas, and yet chose two different paths of thought.
Wow.
And the student saying, I feel like I do want and I need their approval to go forward. They're holding the purse strings.
Well, that makes it kind of complicated.
So it really did play into that, and then so that the question was, do you need their approval to be able to make your choice? That's one step.
Right.
Do you want to make your choice and then work on their approval to come back and support you in your choice? While your choice might be different than theirs, you could still have their support.
Right. So I'm curious about any work that you may have done with them or conversations you may have had with them about making them aware of how important their approval was. Because sometimes when you're that approving party, you may not be aware of the impact that your opinion has on somebody else.
Yes, and that I saw in the early stages of questioning and going through where their heads were.
Yeah.
It's letting the parents and the student know if they were going to go through this together, to communicate very openly as they went along, because things were going to change.
Yeah.
And they were going to shift. And in practicing that open communication and coaching them through those techniques, that brought them closer than I would say than they would have been if they wouldn't have gone through it at all. So it wasn't that we were going to avoid it completely.
Right.
We were in a much better place.
Okay. Oh, that's very interesting. All right. Well, we'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch. Or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie. But Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special. Sit down and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to savor.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He guides us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and we are talking about life coaching. And before the break, we went into the research and we were looking at what's called approval syndrome. And that is just, when we think of syndrome, we think of it as a problem. Sometimes it's okay to get approval, but when it's become an obsession, or you want to make sure that everything you do meets the approval of others, that can be very crippling. So, for example, for me, I think approval syndrome was a big deal for me, particularly when I was in my early 20s, and I was very self-conscious. I had a son when I was 19, and I constantly was worried about what people thought of me. So if I went into the grocery store at that time, I was on food stamps. So God forbid I would hand a bright, colorful, back then it was not a fancy little discreet card. They were bright, colorful food stamps. So to hand that to the cashier, for me, I'm constantly worried about what are people thinking, how are people perceiving me. Although I knew in my own life, I'm pursuing a college education, I'm working 3 jobs, I'm doing the best I can as a mom. So that alone should have locked down my security. I should have felt great about myself just on that alone. But I was very much worried about what people thought of me. And a lot of my drive, so approval syndrome can manifest itself in a way that looks like you're really driven, and I was, but my drive was so that people wouldn't look at me as a stereotypical single mom. And so so instead of allowing my strengths to drive me, I allowed my fear of what people thought about me drive me. And that had a pretty strong impact on the decisions I made about relationships and all of that. So while it may have looked great that I'm pursuing to all these things, I'm doing all these great things, the foundation of it was unhealthy, and that spills over into our relationships and the different things that we do, the decisions that we make in our lives. So I am no longer a strong victim of approval syndrome. I say strong victim because I don't want to say that, I'm perfect now, I don't have any worries about what people think. But it definitely is not a stronghold in my life like it used to be. And many of the decisions that I've made with regards to whether or not people will approve, in fact, many decisions that I made that people did not approve of are some of the best decisions that I ever made. So thank God I did not listen to those people. So for example, while I was in my PhD program, I was talking about how challenging it is, and just in the timing, being able to sort through everything I have to do. And I had several people say, well, why don't you just quit and focus on being a mom for once? You've been in school forever. Well, what if I had done that? So it's really important for us to be able to decipher for ourselves what's best for ourselves and to make decisions based on that. So that was approval syndrome. If you have any experiences with that, please let me know. We're going to go back to our myths that we were talking about. We got through a whopping 2 of them. So myth number 3, personal coaches can only help you reach personal goals. Professional coaches can only help you reach business goals. So the reality is a good coach is someone who is an expert at helping others create positive change in their lives. So for some clients, the positive change they most want may be focused on personal goals and relationships, time management, stress reduction, etc. But other clients may be more interested in professional or business goals such as leadership, getting a promotion, etc. An effective coach works with the client to help them live a better, richer life regardless of their type of goals. So let me be clear, though. There are certain specializations in which coaches have certain expertise in. So, so like I said, I'm not the one you want to call about financial, all of that, the financial stuff. Now, I can help you set goals. I can certainly help you, think about ways to better spend your money. But I think that if you had a financial coach who really understands the industry and how certain things work with credit and all of that, you're going to be better off. But generally speaking, a coach can help you with goals that can translate to different areas of your life. Do you have something to add to that? No.
One of the assessment tools that I learned to use as a coach coming out of ACC is a particular behavioral analysis called DISC. And to my delight, I find that now as a professional trainer with the Gustav Kaiser Company, we also use this same tool. So here I have a behavioral analysis tool of insights that I could use either in a coaching setting one-on-one or in this professional training classroom setting. And the beauty of it is that it's all about the person. So we develop that tool and that self-awareness and a way of understanding how we relate with, there are 4 behavioral types, how we relate with the other 3 and how we may come off to them.
Wow.
And so once you know that as an individual, you can parlay that into these other specialty areas. If I tend to behave this way as an individual in an emotional setting or in a relationship, then my certain tendencies are as a financial decision maker, I will do X, Y, Z, and in a business professional setting, I'll tend to do X, Y, Z. So once you know that basic linchpin of how you are wired and inclined as an individual, you can apply that in different areas. So a coach can help you to develop that awareness and to practice through scenarios.
Absolutely. Wow, that's really good. And I tend to try to translate things over like that too, from, and I tend to start from the standpoint of relationships and move that over into the professional world. So there's a theory that I really love. I'm big on theories, but there's a theory I really love by Gilligan, and she basically looks at how we interact with people in relationships and the ways in which we are either really protective of ourselves or we get to a point where we're open and we're free, but that we also take responsibility for the care of others, but not in an unhealthy way. So I like to use that a lot for people who are struggling with healthy relationships, because it kind of helps you to see where you are on that, if you're still kind of in the unhealthy realm or if you're really healthy. And I love the translation of that to the workplace, because we don't think about whether or not our relationship with our boss or our colleagues are healthy or not, but that's just as important, sometimes if not more, than what our relationships are like at home, because we spend so much time at work in many ways. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into the balance challenge.
Keeping your balance with Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela.
So the first hour, the balance challenge that I gave you all was about looking at an important decision that you have to make and applying the expectancy theory to that. And so the expectancy theory has 3 different considerations. You want to consider valence, instrumentality, and expectancy. So valence asks, what can this situation do for me? Instrumentality asks, what is the reliable path to reaping those benefits? So what do I need to do, or which way do I need to go to get to those benefits? And number 3, what evidence do I have that I'm capable of doing what's required to reap those benefits? So what I want you to do this week is think about an important decision that you have to make, an important decision that's coming up, one that you have to make now, and I want you to use this model as a way of making that decision. As I said, approval was not one of these here, right? What it was is, what can this situation do for me? Are there any benefits? Is this going to help me? Is this going to hurt me? Am I going to grow? So think about that. That's the valence. Second thing, instrumentality. How am I going to get there? What do I need to do? So again, if this is a job that you're trying to decide whether or not you need to accept, you've thought about the benefits of the job. What do you need to do to get those benefits? Well, I need to perform at a certain level. I need to have this skill set. I need to be able to connect with these people. So do you have those tools as a way of getting there? And then last but not least, evidence that I am capable of doing what's required to earn these benefits. So you know the path, you got to get to know certain people, you need to know the skills, all that. Are you capable? Do you have what it takes to make that happen? Even if you don't believe that you do, sometimes you have more than what you believe. So the point of this theory is expectancy. What do you expect to get out of it? What do you expect in terms of your own abilities to make it happen? So I want you to think about a decision that you have in terms of what you expect the benefits and your ability to reap those benefits will be. We'll be right back.
Leaders aren't born, they're made. And not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Uncle Dan? Mom? Dad? If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them, I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside. Safer when walking home.
Safer when my friends come over. As your neighbor, I'll feel safer.
As a school teacher, I'll feel safer.
We'll all feel safer.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
See ya.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I have Cynthia Heller with me here, and she is a professional coach, and I want to give her the last words because she has to leave in a few minutes, and so I want to make sure that we can know. I don't know if you want people to reach you, or if you're offering any services right now, or if you're just working within the organization.
Sure, I'd love. Yes, I am open to being able to pick up some coaching clients for folks who want to work on bereavement coaching, college application, college admittance track, professional development, and then the training that I do is either in the area of sales or in management development training.
Okay.
So I welcome anybody who would want to pursue those areas with me. I love to work with folks. That's what gives me my excitement too.
Yeah. Okay, and just to remind you all, she was very well trained through the Academy of Creative Coaching.
Yes, I'd say if anybody's asking questions about how do I make a job change, how do I corral in this big picture of, oh my goodness, my first is going off to college, what do I do? I've just lost a spouse and I don't even know where to start with that. How do we deal with the grief and the paperwork?
And that is a show in itself. I would actually love to do I wish I had known that that was one of your areas. And maybe you told me and it just went, phew. But that is just so interesting because there's so much there that needs to be dealt with when somebody loses a spouse. And so I just really commend you for doing that work. We've had a few people come through the program who are focusing on bereavement coaching. Never even thought of it before. People like you brought the.
I know you did a fabulous job of finding me the books and the materials that I needed and made it really rich for me too. So thank you. I'm glad to be giving it back out to folks.
Well, good. That's definitely something that we need out there. But I want to thank Cynthia for joining us. We have to say goodbye to her, but thank you so much.
Thank you. So just call up my number if people want to reach me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's a New Jersey area code 908-581-0556, or find me at Gustav Kaser Training USA.
All right. Well, we'll make sure anybody who needs it will get that information, and we'll be right back.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He guides us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I thank you for joining me today. We are talking about life coaching and well, actually, I should say professional coaching and what it means and all of that. And you know, the reason why this show is relevant for just about everybody is because there is really not a career that I can think of that wouldn't benefit from having some skills in coaching. And so right now, I'm just going to put her on the spot right now. I've got my friend Renee Edmonds, who is watching right now on Facebook Live, and I know that she does hair, and I'm willing to bet the stories that she must hear while she's doing hair. She does hair for a long time because she does locks, so she has people sitting in her chair for 8 to 10 hours, and the stories that she must hear. And so for people who are in the helping professions, or people who are in the service industry, or people who are teachers, whatever it is that you do, there is a great benefit in having some skills when it comes to coaching, and being able to really coaching. And what I haven't said on the show is really being able to ask those really powerful questions that make people at the end of the day say, wow, I hadn't even thought of that. Oh my gosh, the aha moment that Oprah talks about a lot. It's you ask questions, you ask questions, you ask questions until it culminates into that aha moment. And so I think that that's a skill that just about any of us can benefit from having. And from the other end of things, it's really important that we have somebody in our lives who can ask us those compelling questions that can challenge us to jump to higher levels, and who also can hold us accountable for making sure that we're accomplishing the goals that we'd like to have. I got a call earlier from Mr. Waba Frazier, and he was asking if he needs a relationship coaching for him and his spouse, but they also want financial coaching, can they get that out of one coach? They certainly can. It takes homework to make sure that person is skilled in both areas, but there are a lot of areas in our lives that, we can use a coach. Now, what I didn't talk about is the difference between a coach, a therapist, a consultant, and I think it's important to understand the difference. So a therapist, is somebody who's going to help diagnose a problem. So, I may have a problem with, I may be codependent. I may be obsessive compulsive. I may, be traumatized from something that happened to me in my past. And so what a therapist does is they look at what the problem is, they diagnose that problem, and then they help you to fix it. They come up with a prescribed resolution to fix whatever that problem is. A coach, on the other hand, is somebody that looks at a goal that you have, and they use your strengths and the assets that you bring to the table, and they use those to help guide you to the accomplishment of that goal. So it doesn't come from a standpoint of what's wrong and I need to fix it. It comes from the standpoint of what is it that you want to achieve, and how are we going to use what you already have inside of you to achieve that goal, and how are we going to develop what's inside of you and make it even stronger than it is today. So this is not to say that therapy is bad, coaching is good, or coaching is bad and therapy is good. It's to say that there are specific things that we need therapy for, and there are specific things that we need coaching for. And so it's really important that we understand what it is that we want to have addressed in our lives, so that we can find the right person, to fix that. So if you're having struggles with your relationship, and let's say that it is based on some trauma that you've experienced in the past, and that a therapist is needed, if you go to a really good coach, that coach will be able to identify the fact that you need therapy too. So they would be able to refer you to a therapist to deal with the trauma, or whatever issues that you have that actually need to be fixed, while working with you to move towards the goals that you want to achieve. So your homework with your coach may be, I need you to go find a therapist. And then once that therapist is found, and you're working with that therapist, you and your coach can then start looking at your future goals, and how, whether or not you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in therapy, they can hold you accountable for that as they're helping you move forward with your goals. So so that's a very important distinction to make. The third one is as a consultant. And a consultant works primarily in the business world, in the corporate world, in the workplace. And what they do, like a therapist, is they look at what's going on in your workplace situation, and they diagnose a problem. And they say, okay, so here are some of the things. They come up with an assessment and a report. And they say, here are some of the areas in which you guys need to more strongly develop as a company, or as a department, as a team. And they'll prescribe that, and they'll say, so here's what I want you guys to do to fix that. Coaching, again, is more one-on-one. And it's about developing a particular skill set that somebody may have. So you may see a leadership coach in the workplace. That leadership coach is going to work with the individual to help them enhance and grow in their leadership skills, set a set of goals and say, so here is where I'd like to be as a leader. Here are some things I'd like to work on as a leader. And that's often defined by the client. And the coach works with them to accomplish those goals. So it's really important that we understand the difference between coaching, consulting, therapy. And I hope that all makes sense. And I see a comment from Renee saying, yes, I'm mostly an unpaid therapist. She's the one I just mentioned, who is amazing and does locks. She says she's an unpaid counselor at her salon. Her psychology degree works well in her profession. Oh yeah, I mean, and I think anybody who is doing hair, who spends a lot of time with their clients, psychology degree is going to help a lot. Coaching, certification, whatever it is, but those are the kinds of things that really benefit. So thank you so much for joining me on the live exchange. Next week, I'm going to be joined by Dean Cole, whose show is immediately after mine, and we are going to be talking about shady business partnerships. I know y'all can't wait for that one. It's going to be a good one. So stick with me. And if you want to follow me, go to theliveexchangeradio.com. That's theliveexchangeradio.com. And I will see you all next week. Peace out.
Hey, this is John Legend.